I'm David Lampton. I teach at Johns Hopkins SAIS, a proud board member of the U.S.-China Policy Foundation. For this evening, I'm the stand-in for Ambassador Sasser, our former ambassador to China and longtime stalwart of the U.S.-China Policy Foundation. This evening, we've been very fortunate to hear from major contributors to the United States-China relationship over the last many decades. Senator Baucus, I remember our periodic meetings in your hideaway Senate office where we would talk about China periodically, and this was way before you were, I think, destined to go to China. I very valued those, and I was always so impressed that you would spend that amount of time, given all of the other responsibilities you had to learning along with all of us about China. I thought that was really a wonderful commentary on your public service and dedication. In those meetings, I also remember that you were so aware of Montana's tradition, I would say, about a responsible policy and leadership of American thinking about Asia and Japan and, of course, China, and providing leadership in the U.S. Congress, which I think we all might recognize we could use more of these days. You often recalled the exemplary role of Senator Mike Mansfield, and I'm sure that when he's looking down on, he sees a worthy successor that really pushed that tradition of great internationalism in the West. And so Senator Mansfield was a great contributor, but you were a very worthy successor, and we all thank you very much for that. I was, as we were fortunate to have Tricia Nixon with us, I thought, well, this is sort of the bookend of the U.S.-China relationship in modern times. Tricia was here and represented the start, really, of the renewed relationship between our two countries. And then as I was listening to Stella Lee, this is the next 45 years we're looking at and all of the things. So I think we've sort of had the bookends of the relationship, and that's just been a wonderful opportunity. Ambassador Cui, I remember many things about you, not least your maiden Washington, D.C. policy speech, which you were gracious enough to come to SAIS. And in the years since you were there, many of our students have come up and held you up as a role model for not just public service for China, but really a voice for reason in the world. You made a big impression on your successors at SAIS, and we're all very proud of that. In the last few months, your hard work has, I think, paid off tremendously, as we can see in the just recently completed summit. And I want to thank you for all the hard work behind the scenes that go into such a successful undertaking. All of us here this evening remember what others in both our societies may have forgotten, and that is, if you look back on the Cold War, the biggest frictions and hot spots in the Cold War involved the United States and China when we didn't manage our relationship correctly. And I think the people here who have a memory of those times have an obligation to convey the lessons of that period to the people who follow in the same dedication. And the last thing I would say is I think the whole evening has been about what I've always believed, and that is people count. People make a difference. And I think we've seen quite a few people this evening that have made a very big difference. And that's why, before inviting Professor Wang Ji to the podium, I want to thank him and Dr. Ernestine Wong for their creation of the U.S.-China Policy Foundation and for all their hard work in the years after its founding.